Welcome to Timberland Farms. My name's Anthony, and behind me is my 1968 Case 430 diesel tractor. Some of you may have noticed in my previous videos that the starter's getting sticky, but we're going to address that today and see if we can make a farmer fix to make this starter much better. So that was a lucky guess, 9/16 here for your starter. There's one bolt out and the ground out. Set that on the hood. Whew. These suckers are on there tight. And we got our second bolt out. Got a few too many goodies on this stud. Make it a little difficult to grab onto. Got our new alternator wire. Got our positive battery cable. This is solenoid to the intake heater. I don't know what that wire is. And then we got our starter solenoid wire off of the starting switch. Well, you just have to use the wrench opposite what you traditionally do to get a good offset on it. Maybe the open end would be a little better. It's interfering with the case there. That ain't gonna work. Finally got it. There's that bolt. And now the starter will come out through the bottom. It's one stout, heavy starter. Let's take it inside. So here's the starter pulled out. What's going on with it is this Bendix is getting sticky, so I'm just going to open this up to spray this, lube this up a little bit. But I'm going to take it apart, clean the brushes and everything. So it's a 3/8 size on the back side here. It should be a full-length screw. It's a full-length screw. And look how crusty that is. It's got a sleeve around it. That's different. Well, now I probably just messed it up big time. I don't know if that was a farmer fix or what was going on with that, but they're wrapped in electrical tape. Never seen that before in a starter, and they're all greasy. This body should come off too. In order to do that, you have a nut here. And there's the motor split up. Place. There they are. Little tiny guys. I'm starting to think it's actually a solenoid problem, not a starter problem. Because this solenoid on the back side here, so there's an arm in there that's actually connected to the solenoid here. When this solenoid energizes, it pulls back on a plunger here, which rocks this arm forward, which throws your Bendix forward. So I'm starting to think that it's a solenoid problem, not a starter. The starter spins just fine, no problem, but the Bendix sometimes does not engage. So I'm going to take the solenoid apart and see what's going on with that. So we'll see what's going on with that in here. A couple more flat blade screws. hold that solenoid cover on. Flip it over to get the other side. Yeah, that's spring loaded. So something's going on in here where it's not engaging. There's a heavy spring. That bolt comes out. Nut falls out. This gasket comes off. The whole arm comes out. This is the plunger that goes inside the solenoid and then the arm. So this will rock forward, pull back into the solenoid, and it rotates on this pin. It rotates on this pin here. So once that sucks forward, it shoves the Bendix forward. So now we're able to get the Bendix out. It shoves that forward. We're going to grease this up while we're at it. That's what engages the starter here. It's got a spring in there to make it so it's not so violent inside of there. But everything else in here seems pretty good. Just grease it up real good so it travels freely. So I figured I'd investigate a little bit deeper and pull the cover off of the solenoid, see what's going on there. 2 3/8 bolts. Watch this thing go pow and lose all the pieces inside. Man, they're still tight. See what's behind door number 2. It'll even come apart nicely. And I think I may have broke it. Dark in there, but you can kind of see, I can see at least, that there's some burning on the copper contacts, and I think that might be causing our issue. The plate in here is all messed up. Really difficult to give you guys a good look. You can see on that disc there's a bunch of copper on there, and I think that's what's causing our issue. The contacts are burned out. Well, with that knowledge, I guess I'm just going to buy a new solenoid and see where that gets me. Stick this back together like it never even happened, and continue from there. Save me money from having to buy a complete starter, just buying the solenoid. The solenoid is probably 30 or 40 bucks, and the starter is probably 300. Of my guessing, I'll look it up and see for sure, but starters are not cheap. Solenoids come with a starter, so I would imagine for sure that solenoid is significantly cheaper than the whole unit. And why replace what you don't need to, you know? I was hoping a farmer fix it, but I don't think farmer fixing is going to be solving our problems today. So I'll grease this up and get this cleaned up and ready to rip back in there and reuse. And we'll go from there. Gave myself a drip bag, and then we can get it out of the barn here as soon as we're done cleaning. Here's the straw it came with. All right, so we just made a quick run to the parts store, picked up a new replacement solenoid. Since I think this is the culprit, it was about 30 bucks. And this is the old solenoid, this is the new solenoid. As you saw, I cleaned up the starter guts inside of it just a little bit. Went out, also got some white lithium grease, WD-40. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, so we're gonna slap this back inside its case and put the starter back together. I think this will work for us pretty good. The brushes here, where the brushes contact the commutator, they look healthy, so I don't have to worry about that. There's no deep pitting or anything. They're nice and shiny, so I'm not going to do anything with that there. They are worn down a little bit, but nothing too severe that I'm worried about. Rotate that, get the other surface. And I'll also grease up the surface in here where that arm goes. Move that up a little bit. tip of our shaft and the washer that's attached to it. Stick that in its home. Sometimes it pays to be on YouTube because I just went through the video and it goes in this orientation here. It's going to sit in here like that. So now we know which direction it goes. Pull this out slightly so you can get that in there where it belongs. Thing on there this direction goes on there like that. You can fit that in there. Goes in this direction, not sure. On the back to the front. I have to wiggle this around to get it lined up. Now you can see on the nose of the starter, when the solenoid is engaged, rocks that forward, engages it with a flywheel. So the starter itself is functioning as proper. Then we have to get our gasket of some sort in there. That orients this way so the lip goes towards the bell housing of the tractor. And then we can get our new solenoid. I almost forgot our spring. This came with a new spring. It's actually a lot larger than the old spring. Maybe this has something to do with it. They got the same amount of coils to them, but the old spring is like over compressed or something, so that might have something to do with it. We're gonna put the new one in there, see what happens. So this lip is gonna rotate this direction, so it's towards the starter body, away from the solenoid. So what I think this spring does right here, I think that helps the Bendix to return quicker, having a stiffer, newer spring. But we have these 4 brushes that we have to split open to get that to drop down into place. Also have to get this to line up with this stud here. Where's the old? I don't want to cause any metal fatigue that we don't need. Will I push down at all? What's a hold up on that?
Wants to be over here.
Okay. What is going on with that? Put that washer back down. Just bearing up. And put our bearing plate on. Should be able to get all the other ones on. And drop a couple bolts too while I'm at it. Now this one's free. I can put the crown on. I can tighten that up. I'm going to snug these 2 up so it makes it a little easier for the third one to go in, because that is in a tight spot right there. There, that one's hand tight. And I can tighten these ones back up again. That one's good. And get 1/12 of a turn. Now to move on to the wiring. Your positive cable goes right here. So this little guy is for the starter solenoid off the key switch. So we'll put our hot stud on top, followed by our hot stud for our intake heater, followed by the hot stud off of our alternator. So we got a lot going on right here. I would imagine this big one goes on there too, so it is a big. Yep, and we got power. Whoops. Shocking. Wow. At least I know the battery's not dead. Probably should have disconnected that. Can we try it again? Ah, fireworks. Yes, yes it does. And I think all we have left is this little guy right here. I love getting an 1/8 of a turn with a pair of channel locks. Alrighty, let's cross our fingers we don't blow anything else up, start a fire. I don't know. I just hope it's better, not worse. They're neutral. And we have nothing. Nothing. I'm going to have to go back in the video and figure out what I did wrong, because not even a click, not a ka-chunk, not a woo, and not a nothing. Trying to go make it this better, but proceed to make it worse. Progress. For the record, I never claimed to be a professional. Simply learn from my mistakes. That's usually how I go about it. Don't do as I do. Let's see if we can lose this little nut. Probably should have got a socket that fits that. That'd make my life a little easier. Let's do that. Would have been a little bit more eventful if I soaked myself in gasoline before doing this for you guys. I mean, it is still an option. Everything is still live. Time to go back to the old videos and see how this is wired, because I don't remember. Well, it appears that this little guy goes on this back stud where the ground is. What? No way. I guess that is a hot stud that goes into the brushes on the motor. And then the actual casing is the ground, because that's not supposed to be grounded. Brilliant. Let's try that. Did you know that if you do it right, you get it right? See, that's the big problem right there. I just didn't do it right, so I didn't get it right. We're over here just burning the tractor down, lighting ourselves on fire instead. Probably going to cost ourselves to need to buy an actual starter. Instead of trying to save money, we're costing ourselves more. Oh, I see. Oh, let me bring you in here, because I messed this up, like, really messed this up. See how good you guys can see in here. So this is the stud that the battery attaches to. That's a given. This stud's not used. This little strap on the top of the starter, that's what supplies the starter with voltage to actually spin. Usually, starters need a lot of amps. And when you need a lot of amps, typically you need a large wire. Why would large amperage be going through a little tiny stud like this? There's no way. There's a big lug down here, smarty pants. Use that one. There's a little tiny screw hole thread in there. I had extra pieces in the box. I guarantee you that's where it goes. Because I had to stretch this thing out. You can see this is not flush anymore. I had to stretch it out to make it fit on that stud when it actually goes here. Wow. I completely missed that. Honestly, James missed that last night too. But he was just hanging around and lending me a helping hand when needed. And I was doing this like through and through. So that's a big mistake on my part. So this big nut here, it threads in. That goes on there, dum-dum. And then this yellow wire goes where this is sitting on that back little tiny stud like this one. Genius. Let's get this wired right before we blow ourselves up. So here's that little tiny screw. If the camera will focus on it, they have a hard time focusing, but there it is. That's what goes in this little tiny hole inside that big stud that carries the high amperage that goes inside a starter for a diesel tractor. Now to muscle the strap off that should not have been on there in the first place, because I'm a dum-dum. Sometimes it pays to use your noggin. You might have a revelation and do things the right way the first time. There we go. Bend this back down where that belongs. Oh, this is not fun. Try this again with all these wires. Alright, let's see if we lost any other brain cells. And we're in neutral. We got power. Let's give it the old college try. I mean, we killed the battery, but in retrospect, it cranks over every single time. There's no woo. We'll give her a little shot of the giggle gas. Num num num. Tasty. I know you like that. Woohoo! Well, fired up. Let's try it again. I think that's an improvement. Well, I think that's an improvement. We're going to leave it the way it is. If I touch it anymore, it's probably going to end up catching on fire or something silly. So, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Hopefully this weekend I'll be at the farm show, like I said in the previous video. If you see me there and you want to say hi, feel free to say hi. I'd love to meet you guys. I know I don't have a huge following like I said before, but if you do know me or like see me on the YouTube video and then you end up seeing me at the farm show, stop by, say hi. I'd love to meet you guys. But that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I made mistakes, so that would be a plus.